Hello and welcome to the Mind, Body and Soul Show. I am Gwenda Smith, your host. In this show, we love to bring to you things that are going to help you in your life from mind, body and soul. Put it all together and it makes for a great life. It makes for a life on purpose. It makes for a life of passion and most importantly, a life of great health, wellness and wealth. Now, this show today, we have a wonderful guest from London. Her name is Linda Attram. For those of us who have been on the journey of being a mother, as a mother, it is a lifetime wonder. It's not something like a career that we pick up and we decide to change. Once you're a mother, and that's it. For all you working mums, I sure understand what it's like. And our wonderful guest today, Linda, she herself has been a working mum in property and real estate for many, many years, which she will tell you about shortly. But today we're going to share with you ways that if you're looking for going into a business yourself, so actually working for yourself, and you want to find out how you can make that work while being a mum, because being a mum, we all know, is 24/7 and there's no break. There's no, I'll just sign off for holidays now. And then when you go into having your own business, well, there's sometimes no holidays in that either until you've really got it going the way that you want it to. And that takes strategies, it takes time, it takes all the planning. So when you're trying to juggle that with children, it can make it a really challenging time. Now, my guest, Linda Attram from the UK, is going to tell us how she has overcome those challenges of becoming a businesspreneur mum and what she's done to get herself to where she is. And she specialises in helping mothers who want to be able to be their own director in their life, who want to be able to capture their passion, live their passion and work their passion, but also be the best possible mum that they can be. Now, Linda is a pretty awesome lady herself. She is a martial artist. Yes, and she is a international speaker, a keynote speaker. She's going to have some wonderful points for you this afternoon that we're going to bounce backwards and forwards. And we would look forward to your comments too, which you'll be able to bring back to the show on the Facebook page for ptvchannelo.com. You can find us there and you'll be able to put in your comments. You'll also be able to contact Linda if she can help you in the work that she does as a mumpreneur, as a mum that wishes to have her own business. This is Linda's thing and this is what she wants to help us all with. But without further ado, I'd like to bring Linda forward for us and she can tell us some more about her journey and what it's been like. So please, Linda, welcome to the show.
Hi, Gwenda. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It's an absolute honour to be on your show, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. It's a thrill to have you here.
Okay, so a bit about myself. Well, as you said, I am Linda Attram, and I have been in business for over 20 years. And my business is in real estate, as you've already said in the introduction. But alongside that, I'm also a mother of three beautiful children who are aged 12, 15, and 19. So I have two girls and a boy. And for me, I love being a mother, but I also love being a businesswoman as well. And so I think that it's so important that through motherhood, we don't lose ourselves, because often as mothers, we tend to spend a lot of time looking after other people and caring for their needs, and we then forget about our own needs. So I really think that that's important, because from my own experience, I remember being a younger mother and just putting absolutely everything into my children and to my home and to my husband, that I was wearing myself out without even realizing it. I was burning myself out, thinking that I had to do absolutely everything. I had to be there for everyone. And I was always at the bottom of the pile. And for me, I thought that was the place that I needed to be, because I was the the carer. And it wasn't until I went through some health issues and emotionally and mentally realized that this is not a good place for me to be. I need to be there for my children. And if I don't look after myself, my own well-being, how can I be there for my children? And it was tricky because as a mother, and you perhaps yourself can relate to this, Gwenda, that you put everything into this wonderful role. It doesn't come with a handbook. You don't have a qualification for becoming a mother. You go through this wonderful experience for 9 months carrying your child. You can read as many magazines as you want, get advice from your aunts and your mum or whoever about their own experiences, but it's going to be nothing like what your own experience is going to be. So you go into this whole experience very blind, and you do the best that you can, and you just want to make everything perfect. And it took me a long time to realize that there is no perfection, there is no perfect mum. So long as you're giving your best, you're giving the love and the support and the comfort to your children, that's enough. That's absolutely enough. And you know for me, during the early years of motherhood, I think there was a lot of things around what society expected of a mother that I just felt I had to live up to that. And it also, because of that society view, initially it prevented me from actually being open and honest about how I was feeling, how I was coping, in this new role of a motherhood without any sort of guidance. Clearly, I had my mum around at the time, she's now passed away, but in the early years, I had my mum there to give me some support, and other family members. But it's those times when you're there on your own with your children, and you're trying to think, what do I do? What's the next step? So because of my experiences and the challenges that I had just as being a mum on its own, which is a huge challenge, although it's a massive blessing. Then, as you said earlier, to also run a business at the same time, going through that whole emotional cycle of mum guilt. Am I spending too much time on my business and not enough time with my children? Am I good enough? Am I a good enough mum? Am I being selfish? Because I've been through that whole cycle, and I realized how lonely that is. I decided to create a platform for mothers in business to help them to realize that, there is support out there. You don't have to do this alone. And also there are, a whole world of mothers out there that would love to go into business, but don't really know where to start.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things out there. There's lots of platforms out there, business related platforms, but there's not many that are for mothers, and the ones that are for mothers are business related. And so my USP with my platform is that I look at the emotional and mental well-being of that mother, and we look at the mother first. We look at them as an individual, so that they remember who they were, prior to becoming a mother, what their dreams, hopes, aspirations, visions were. And so that's the starting point for all of the mothers that I work for. And that's why I created Mothers in Business, because of my experiences, and because of how I would have loved to have that support when I was a mother in the earlier years.
All of that is just so true, so very important, Linda. And it's also why you're with us on the Mind, Body, Soul show, because you address the most important facets of ourselves. Because if we're not addressing those, that's where we lead into being unwell mentally, emotionally, and eventually physically. Sometimes it happens in the reverse of those, but it all catches up. I really enjoy the way that you approach the mothers and the encouragement about them remembering who they really are and who they were before becoming a mum, and also what their dreams are. For myself, as I mentioned, I began in health as a nurse, and then I ended up not through choice. It's not the way I thought life was going to be, but I ended up raising my two children myself. And you were talking about society's expectations, and even society's maybe frown or look upon. For me, it was in the 80s. So being a single mother in the 80s was deeply frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was working as a nurse in the operating theatres, and I was the senior scrub nurse. So I was most often on call after my shift. So I wasn't only working from 7 till 4, I would go home with the beeper on and have to be called back for any emergency surgeries. So I could very easily, and most often was, called back only half an hour after getting home. And my children were 2 and 4 years of age. So it's those early years are very tough. The children need a lot of care, a lot of attention. So I understand what it's like to work and to have to be in an emergency situation where you're called back to work for a lot of hours. And then, of course, you have the sleep deprivation that comes with that joy of being a mum and everything else that you've got to do. So, working those long hours. And of course, quite often what I was faced with in the emergency theatres was trauma. So that in itself has other facets to it and affects us in different ways on different levels. So moving along the path to them becoming a mum who wanted to retain her identity, who wanted to continue with her passion and going into business. You were talking about being able to learn how to be in business, and you're so right. The platforms that are out there are definitely all business orientated. They tell you about the structures, they tell you about the strategies, they tell you about those damn click funnels and everything else are my least favorite things, and how to sell. But you are so right that there is not, as far as I know, I haven't come across anything even here in Australia that addresses the emotional mental well-being and helping the mum be able to understand finding herself again and feeling at home in herself while being the mum. And also your comment about there not being a perfectionist. You can't be a perfectionist as a mum. And you also, ladies and gents, might be a big surprise, but you can't be a perfectionist in business either, because business evolves like all of life, and it will evolve as you evolve. So, Linda, would you like to share some of your experience of the evolution of you in your business, even from being in property, investment in property, across to being a mum in business? You know, it all intertwines and it grows as you grow. Would you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing, the key thing about being in business is having a team around you, a team that can do, a variety of different tasks. And as a mother, and this is from my own experience, but lots of the listeners listening might be able to relate to this, is that you tend to want to do everything for yourself because you are the carer. You want to make sure everyone's okay. And for me, that also spun into my business as well. I thought that I could wear both hats and do absolutely everything for myself. And you can't. You need to have that team around you. So many of your listeners may have related to this as well, whereby when you want or when you require support, it's difficult to ask for it because as a mother, you may feel that people may judge you, that you're not good enough or you can't cope. So rather than having that judgment, you don't ask for support, whether it be in your business or with your day-to-day duties. And so
So true.
for many years, I would be doing absolutely everything in my property business. I would be doing the viewings. Myself and my husband would be doing the maintenance in the properties. I'd be doing all of the administration. I wouldn't be getting much sleep because, in between looking after the three children, when they were asleep, I'd be working and I'd just get a few hours to myself. I wasn't looking after myself nutritionally. I wasn't, getting enough energy, not enough. I wasn't drinking enough water, and that all took a toll on me. But I was very persistent that I wanted to continue my journey in business, not only to prove to myself that I could do it, but also to leave a legacy for my children. So for my girls to know that when they are, old enough to have their own children or to have a family, that it is possible to be a good mum and a good businesswoman at the same time. And for my son, if he chooses to get married when he's older, to know that his future wife has those options as well. It is possible, and it's not about society saying, the mother's role is in the home. And I get that business is not for every mother, and I certainly don't put that out there saying that every mother should, have their own business and have their own thing going on. It's completely down to them. What I encourage is that if you do have a dream or a goal that you've, a burning desire that you want to be a business owner, or you want to, you want to help and serve other people, then you should go for it. So long as you've got the right strategies and the right support in place, then it's absolutely possible. Now, I went into business before I started having my children, but I was also working full time at the same time. So I've always been like juggling lots of different balls at the same time. But it goes way back before that for me, in terms of, I also went into business to help to build up my own confidence as well, because as a young child, I lacked a lot of confidence, I lacked self-esteem, and I didn't feel that I was good enough. And so consequently, when I was at my at school, my secondary school, and you guys may call it high school, I followed the wrong crowd. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be popular. Although I had these self-esteem issues, that was my way. That was my get-out clause of getting over that. And so consequently, I like I said, I hung around with the wrong sort of crowds, and I made poor decisions, and I ended up leaving school with no English and no maths qualifications. And so I soon realised that that's obviously not going to help me in life. And then I went through a process of re-educating myself, but still my confidence wasn't at the level that I felt that it needed to be at. And I would watch other people walking past. There was a time in my life where we used to live in this 3-story house, and I'd go up to the top window each evening, and I would just perch myself at the window, and I'd just look at people walking past and look at how confident they were walking. I'd look at the cars that they were driving, and I think, oh gosh, I really would wish that I could be like that. And it was just something that I did as a child, but it's a memory that I retain. And so after I re-educated myself and got my English and maths qualifications, it was then time for me to go out and choose a career. And so I then went on to college, again still having those confident issues, not really wanting to socialise that much. But then I had a teacher who saw something in me, and she then started investing time in me. And that was the first time that I'd really experienced that from an educational point of view. And that was a real light bulb moment for me, knowing that I had that support there and somebody who actually believed in me. And that started to build my confidence. I then went
Linda,
out to
we've got such a treasure trove of things here for us to investigate, but we need to go to a break. So we're going to go for a break, and we'll be back very soon.
When the going gets tough, advertising is a must. Thousands of potential customers make buying decisions every day based on advertising they've seen or heard on radio and television. Are you losing sales because potential customers don't know what you offer? Get your business, product or service in front of thousands of potential customers with a joint advertising package on Power FM and PTV Channel O. Capture a multimedia audience with our affordable radio, TV media advertising package. Stay ahead of the pack by contacting Barry on 0431 390 920 or email feedback@ptvchannelo.com or Jeff at powerfmtoowoomba@gmail.com.
If you've lost your income or had a change of earning capacity through no fault of your own and are struggling with debt that you can no longer handle, you probably feel a bit like this ant. If the struggle is getting you down and you feel overwhelmed, there is an answer. Central Liaison has helped thousands of people break free of the debt struggle by handling their debt for them. Freeze all interest, stop the harassing calls from the bank and start enjoying life again. Call them today on 0409 344 070 for a confidential, obligation-free chat about how Central Liaison can help you take your life back. The number again, 0409 344 070. Call them now.
Have you got a wedding, birthday, corporate event, or even a school disco coming up? Well, make your special occasion memorable. A professional DJ and compere really makes a difference, so go crazy! With Crazy Kevin, International DJ. He's available for all your entertainment needs. Just call 0459 336 832 or email crazykevindj@gmail.com.
Oz Hosting is proud to support Switched On IT in bringing practical help to Australian businesses. We're talking to literally hundreds of businesses every day about their IT services, how to make them more efficient, how to make their businesses more efficient, and how to protect their valuable data. If you'd like your IT services securely hosted right here in Australia and expertly managed, talk to Oz Hosting.
Power FM is total entertainment. From the morning drive with Fiona and Jeff to the drive home with Jeff Black. On the weekends, catch the Crazy Kevin Show, Dennis Mitchell's Breakfast with the Beatles, the Semi-Pro Sports Show, and Racing Nation with James O'Shea, plus the music you grew up with. Keep your radio dial locked on Toowoomba's Power FM, celebrating 10 years. You'll find us at 88.0 on the FM dial or online at www.powerfmradio.com.au.
Every week on PTV Channel O, we take a frank look at computers, the internet and social media on Switched On IT. Join our international team of experts every Tuesday at 7 p.m. to learn what makes the internet and social media tick and how to keep your business safe online while making the most of this exciting media. Discover a whole new world of entertainment Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on ptvchannelo.com or download the PTV Channel O app.
And we pick up again, everyone, with this beautiful treasure trove. So Linda, can we pick up with you again for those wonderful wisdom and also lived experience, please?
Sure. Thank you so much, Gwenda. And I'm so loving this conversation with you. And the reason why I'm sharing with you the issues that I had with confidence in my earlier years is because they came about again at the start of my motherhood. So where we were talking before about, me being in school, being in college, when I then started going into the employment world, I still had my confidence issues, although I got through interview processes and things like that, but I still wasn't where I felt that I could be. I was still admiring other people and thinking I really need to, boost my confidence even more. But it got to a point where I was in my very first job. I was doing an administration job for a fashion retailer. And when it came to lunchtime, I didn't want to have conversations with people because I didn't feel that I was good enough to hold a conversation. I felt that I was just there to do the job that I was paid for. And at lunchtime, I didn't want to socialize with people. I didn't want to have a conversation. So I would have two options. Well, these were the options I'd give myself. I would bring my lunch in and I'd go into the toilet cubicle and I would eat my lunch. And I'd eat it so quickly because, I'd eat it so quickly because I wouldn't want people to think, oh, why is she in the toilet for so long? But it was just that complete fear of having to hold a conversation with somebody that I didn't really know and I didn't have the confidence. It's a bit like when you haven't been to networking before and you don't know how to network. You don't know what to say, or you might say too much or too little. And so that was that was one of the key sort of issues I had, or hurdles I had to overcome. And my other option was that I would bring money in and I'd go and I'd sit in a restaurant on my own, which sounds really strange because I had the confidence to sit in a restaurant by myself, and eat a meal and spend money that I probably didn't have. But it was a better option than having to sit there and to talk to people. But I'm quite open, I'm quite candid about this information. It's in books that I've co-authored, and also I've said this on other interviews, so it's out there. But the reason why I spread that message, and I'm so honest about it, is because until I started on this journey helping mothers in business, I had to reflect on my own life. I had to think about what were the hurdles I went through. And I think by sharing openly and honestly the hurdles that I went through, that helps women to connect with me, because they may have had not the exact same experience as me, but they may have had something similar, but don't feel safe and secure to actually express that or to share that, because they feel that there may be some sort of judgment. But in order for me to get over that challenging period, I had to be honest with myself. I had to acknowledge it, that was a time of my life. And so I was fortunate, after going into the working field, to then get additional support, go through various training programs to really build my self-confidence. And so I felt much better about myself. My self-esteem was much higher. I started socializing, started dating, and eventually, later down the line, I met my husband. So when we got married, we decided very early that we wanted to have a family. So I was all excited, as you are. You find out the news that you're expecting, and everything's wonderful. So I had my first child in 2001, and so the initial period was great because there's lots of people around you, lots of support. Everyone can't do enough for you. And then when that all sort of dwindles away, I started feeling very alone and not realizing what I needed to do. And at that same time, my husband as well had just started a new career for himself. He was doing lots of traveling. He was also developing himself, his own personal development. And I just felt he was going off on a journey, and I was stuck at home and not really realizing what to do. And then my lack of confidence started to creep back in again. And for me, this time around, it was even more frustrating, because I knew that I'd gone through all those years and all that experiences, all those challenges, and I'd overcome that. And I couldn't understand why I was back in that zone again, or why I was feeling like that. So that was really frustrating for me. And then, like I said earlier, this motherhood, journey does not come with a handbook. It doesn't come with a qualification. So I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
We don't even get a diploma at the end.
No. And then I started feeling this whole thing of mum guilt. And because I'd started my business before I had a child, clearly I was continuing with the business. I was working full time and a mum and having a business at the same time. So there was times when my child, obviously she was only at home with me for 6 months, because at the time, the time period to stay at home was not that long. And we would leave home, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, drop her off, and then I'd see her again about 7 o'clock in the evening. So again, not much time with my child, from 6 months onwards, apart from the weekends, and then when we did have the weekends, we were working on the business. So we'd be out there cleaning our apartments, getting them ready for tenancies. And as I had more and more children, we were building our property portfolio even more so. And I remember a time period when I had all three of them, and we were in this property, because at that time we couldn't afford cleaners, so we would be cleaning up the properties ourselves. And we'd have this rug that would come out every weekend, and this rug would come to every single property, and it would be a rug for my children to sit on. But I look back on it now, and I can smile about it. But at the time, it would bring me to tears, because they'd literally be sitting on this rug for hours and hours, watching us clean these properties. And I would feel completely like the worst mum in the world, thinking, why have I got my children sitting on this rug watching us on a Sunday when I should be out in the park playing with them, having a picnic, making cakes, doing whatever mums do. But when I look back on it now, I'm glad and I'm grateful that I went through that experience with them, because they could observe it. They could see what mum and dad went through to get to the point that we are at now, so that we can have the lifestyle that we have, and that they realize that money doesn't just grow on trees, that you have to have a passion, you have to have a vision, and that you have to work at it. It doesn't just come to you. And through your strategies, your dedication, your work, then you can achieve success. So for me, that was a great lesson for my children. It was also a great lesson for me and my husband to go through in terms of creating our portfolio. But it's also a great lesson for me now to share with other mothers, because they may feel frustrated if they perhaps are in a business and it's not being successful and they don't know where to turn. They might feel that it's pointless because it's not doable, because they've got so many challenges as a mother. But if I can go through what I went through, and there's so much more that I could go on about, but I know that it's not the Linda show. So
but I have to get to that point. Yeah.
I share my challenges, and hopefully that that then helps other mothers to to know that they can't pour from an empty cup, but it is possible if they look after themselves, they have support, they have strategies in place that I can share with them, that they can be a great mum and a great business woman at the same time.
Linda, it is a magical recipe that you have come up with. And I say it's magical because such a lot of mums out there would still be listening to us and thinking, I can't do it. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Or they could already be started and feeling all the things that you're talking about and having the overwhelm of not good enough, can't do this, can't juggle it. So in wrapping up today's show, and I'm sure everyone's still sitting on the edge of their seats, there's so much more we could talk about, and Linda would love to have you back to share again, to help our mums out there that want to be mumpreneurs and be very successful in both their careers, because really being a mum is equal to being a career. It changes constantly, and you go from being the janitor to the CEO and then back down the ladder again constantly as a mum. So Linda, in closing today, I'd like you please to share your email address. If you could tell our viewers what your email address so that they may contact you, and maybe also if you could share your website details. And I would welcome you viewers to connect with Linda and find out more about how she can help you as a mum and be very successful in achieving your dream and your business. So Linda, please give us your details.
Thank you for that, Gwenda. So yes, I am contactable via email, and my email address is info@mothersinbusiness.co.uk. That's info@mothersinbusiness.co.uk. I'm also available on Facebook under Inspiring Mothers in Business. And you can also catch me or follow me on Instagram under the exact same name, Inspiring Mothers in Business. And on LinkedIn, you can follow me under my own name, which is Linda Attram. I do also have a book that I co-authored, which is called The Mind of the Female Entrepreneurs. And that's also available on Amazon, which I have co-authored and share my story in there as well.
Absolutely fantastic. So there is a wealth of opportunity for you viewers to be able to share in with Linda's story and see how she can offer gems of solutions for you to get past the hurdles. And Linda, thank you so much for being with us today. I look forward to having you back. It's been wonderful to share with you this afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous day.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.